a little notification there. I obviously didn't turn off my notifications. I have unplugged my phone, so you're welcome for that. Likely won't get interrupted today by the phone ringing. Dare to dream, right? Dare to dream. Good Monday morning. Good Monday morning. It's just after 9 here. 9:01 a.m. here in Eastern Time. And yep, here we are. Oh, hi. Hi, Kate. I think that's Kate, right? Sometimes people's things, I can't always, I'm not always like, wait, who's behind that one? I can't remember now. So yeah. Oh, it is good. Yay. Hi, Kate. Great. And I'm also like, I'm living my best like Miss Frizzle life right now. Got like pink hair, got the like super loud shirt on, you know, amazing, amazing. Just like living my best Miss Frizzle life. Hi, Brienne. Oh, I see you sent a request to be live in my video. Did you actually send that, or was that like a whoops? I'm like, ah. You love it. Oh, thanks, thanks. Yeah, try not to be too distracted by it. It's quite intense. Oh no, it's okay. It's okay, Brienne. It's okay. I was like, you know how sometimes that happens where you're like, oh, don't press the thing, and then you press the thing. Yeah. So try not to be too distracted by my, you know, by the intensity that is my shirt, which I friggin' love, but also, and also my nails are also intense too. I don't know if you could see them. I did like, you're welcome. Okay, that's enough of this. Monday morning. And my children are not here. I'm alone in the house. It is crazy. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's crazy. I'm alone in the house. Yes. What? Everybody's having like little like thumb typing issues on Instagram this morning. No one has joined me live on Facebook yet, according to Facebook anyway, but I'm fine with that. It's fine. It's all good. All right, friends. It's gonna get like maybe a little bit spicy today. That's maybe, so maybe be distracted by my shirt. I don't know. It's gonna get a little spicy. So here we go. Spicy, spicy. My name is Dr. Shannon Coates, and you are joining me for Live Office Hours. And I am coming to you live from about 45 minutes north of Toronto. Bring the spice, Cayenne. Going to live from about 45 minutes north of Toronto here in Ontario, where I am grateful to live and work on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeweke, the Mississauga, and the Wendake Nyonwensio peoples here in my little town. So, yes, okay. Those are some things that I wanted to say. So what I wanted to talk about today, what I wanted to get into, and I know those of you who follow me often on Mondays, I throw out some like, here's something to try in the voice studio today, like try this thing. And but today it's been in the back of my mind because there've been a couple of responses to some of the posts that I posted recently. A couple of responses that I wanted to respond to. Sometimes, you know, like when you're typing, it's just like, I can't like get all the words out right. Blah, blah, blah. So a couple of the responses I just wanted to like say some things. And part of the problem with the typing and the writing thing is that so often just the tone doesn't come through, you know, like sometimes it's just like tone isn't well communicated, and I just feel like I can communicate better just by like, so I really can communicate better that way. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So one of the things I'm just checking here, one of the things that I posted, I think it was last week, is August 28th last week? Oh gosh, okay, so sort of last week, a while ago, one of the things I posted like 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks, not even last week, was something, a tweet, so it was I found it on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, from Laurel Saunders, who hashtag hot take, that teacher who told you your voice was bad / you weren't talented enough / you don't have an ear for music, quote unquote, was just covering their own ass because they didn't know how to help you. And the amount of people who responded to that saying, and obviously this is reductionist. Obviously this is made for Twitter. Like, this is a very short statement. There isn't a lot of room for like nuance or subtlety there. Obviously, it's Twitter. So yeah. But still, there are a lot of people, so many people responding with, yeah, my, like, I was told by blah, blah, blah that I couldn't sing, and, I'm still recovering, and like, blah, blah, blah. Like, so many people with really, really heartbreaking stories. And those of you who've been teaching for a while, or even who haven't been teaching that long, will have these stories as well of folks. Maybe you have your own stories, or of folks who've come into your studio who, who the first thing out of their mouth is, I've never sung before, and I'm just being brave right now. This is something I've always wanted to do, and so I'm being brave, and I want to do something just for me, and I want to learn how to sing, but I'm afraid I'm tone deaf, or I'm afraid someone told me that I couldn't, or when I was in choir, I had to just mouth the words. I wasn't allowed to have my mouth open, like I wasn't blah blah blah. Or even more egregiously, they've come in and they've had a voice teacher at some point in their lives say to them that they're not talented, or they can't sing, or they're not talented enough, or that their voice is bad, or that there's something wrong with their voice at some point. So, or yeah, they don't have an ear for music or something along those lines. And those are heartbreaking, and we all know those as voice teachers. We all know those situations. And like I said, of course, this is a reductionist statement. This is a very, this is made for Twitter. There's not a lot of subtlety there, right? So, that teacher who told you your voice was bad was just covering their own ass because they didn't know how to help you. And of course, there's so much more to it. Of course there is. And of course, I am sure as well, the majority of the teachers who would say something like that to a student, are not doing it from a place of destruction and trying to destroy someone, or trying to, stop someone from singing for the rest of their lives. And like, the majority of folks are not trying to, hurt people when they say something like this. So there's a lot more to this. Of course, there always is. However, there were a couple of responses that I wanted to just address. So one of the responses was something along the lines of, where we blame the teachers and parents too often for like a child's failure, or for for children and students who like, we blame teachers when it's really the fault of the student. And sometimes sometimes singers just aren't talented and shouldn't be coddled, right? So sometimes there was a jump directly into the far over part of this, where students, we're over coddling students, and we're not allowing them to make, we're not being honest with students. We're lying to singers and telling them that, yay, everything's going to be okay, you're a great singer, blah, 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 right? So let's jump all the way over to this assumption that I am being personally attacked as a teacher when someone says this, this is actually something that, they meant to say to hurt me. And if we're not being honest with students, then, we're coddling them and we're lying to them. And then there's somehow more hurt involved in that. So, and we're building a false confidence in them as well, right? So we can build a false confidence. And, some people are talented in music, and that's fine, are not talented in music, and that's fine. And so, there's nothing to be ashamed of if you're not talented in music. And so then you can move on. So I understand where this reaction is coming from to the statement that if you were told that you weren't talented as a singer, that, then that's the fault of the teacher who didn't know how to help you. I understand where the opposite reaction comes from, where people say, yeah, but if we coddle students and we give them, we give them this false sense of confidence, and if we always tell them that they're amazing, that's not good either. So like, we can't. So I completely get where that opposite part is coming from, this kind of reaction, so I understand that. And at the same time, if your reaction to being told that children are harmed, students and singers are harmed by being told that their voice is bad, or that they're not talented, or that they don't have an ear for music, if your reaction to being told that this is harmful and not a good practice, and also says something about your own teaching skills and your knowledge of the voice, if your reaction to that is to say, yeah, but you need to do some soul searching, you need to do a little bit of thinking about why your reaction to being told that someone is being harmed by being told that they are not talented is to say, well, we can't coddle everyone. I can't coddle all the students, and we're giving them a false sense of confidence. Because what is not part of this saying here, and what is not part of being honest, is being cruel and being untrue, right? So the middle, oh, thank you. Thank you. The middle line here is that we don't say, is that, first of all, we recognize that not all singers are going to sing, are going to make a career in music. Not all of our students are going to make a career in music. Great. But do we get to be the gatekeepers and say, no, you're not talented, or you're not talented enough, or you aren't good enough, or your voice is bad? That's not teaching. That's not teaching. That's some kind of false sense of needing to be honest that is hurtful and destructive. That's not good teaching. That's not teaching at all. That's not being an educator. That is destructive and has a lot more to say about you than it says about the student, right? It's destructive. So what does happen if you're working with a young singer, especially, who you think their voice is bad? First of all, if you think that someone's voice is bad, that's on you. That is on you 100%. Everyone's voice, there is nothing moral about, I'm getting really pissed off, which makes me want to laugh. I'm not sure why. Okay, anyway, I'm getting like super pissed off. There's nothing moral about the voice. The voice is not a moral entity. It is neither good nor bad. Everyone's singing voice is neither good nor bad. It may be better coordinated. It may be not as well coordinated. There may be some disconnect between like creating a certain kind of tonal outcome and not being able to create a certain kind of tonal outcome yet, certainly, but there is no good or bad voice. So if you are thinking to yourself, wow, that's a really bad voice, you need to you need to come to Jesus. You need to figure that shit out before you start teaching that singer. Because if you are thinking to yourself, that's a really bad voice, or an ugly voice, or they're making ugly sounds, you need to figure out what about the sound is not working for you and reframe it. So if it's a bad sound to you, what does that actually mean? Take the moral imperative out of it. Take the ugly and the beautiful out of it. For now, anyway, especially if you're thinking something is ugly. Take the moral imperative out of it. Decide, say, okay, what is it the thing that's making me think this is bad or ugly, right? And then figure out what is the coordination that's required here. Get a whole bunch of subtle, like these are like things that you can do to not hurt students. If you think that you're working with someone who is not talented enough, stop and consider. Again, figure this shit out before you work with singers. Do not work with singers if you in your head are thinking, this is not a talented singer. What is it about the singer that is making you think this isn't a talented singer? What is it? Yes, everyone can learn to sing too. Well, everyone can become more coordinated, right? Everyone can become more coordinated as a singer. 100%. If you're comparing a singer to something that is, your preferred tonal outcome or your preferred style or blah, 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 and they're coming up short because they're not talented enough, start to figure out where are the things in this singing, what is the miscoordination? Where is that communication between brain and vocal folds kind of falling down? Where is the motor skill? Which motor skill isn't working so well here? Which part of the motor skill process, maybe is a better way to put it, isn't working so well here? Where are things not working as efficiently or as coordinated as they could be? And that is your job. That's your job as the teacher. That is your job. If you say, hey, this is not a talented singer, and so I don't want to work with them, or they need to just like mouth in choir or blah, 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 you are doing a bad job. You are not teaching. That is not educating. That's being a bad teacher. And yes, I am using moral imperatives here because that is being a bad teacher because you're not actually being an educator. Being an educator involves seeing where the miscoordination happens and then working to find ways to create better coordination. So and also you don't have an ear for music. Lots of folks don't have an ear for music. What does that actually mean? That they're not super well coordinated. There's something going on in the processing. There's something going on in the coordination that isn't working as well as it could, or that isn't as coordinated as it could be. That's fine. And that's often when we think of someone as being a talented singer, especially, usually what we're commenting on is the fact that they're well coordinated, right? They've got a coordination that's going on for them, and they likely also have some physiology and anatomy that is helping them out as well, right? So, well, physiology, coordination, but they might have some anatomical things that are helping them out as well. So we've got some anatomical things, we've got some coordination, we might have some things going on at home that contributes to the talent factor. There's personality stuff. I mean, talent isn't about like, ooh, you can sing and you can't. Talent is about like, I'm farther along on the coordination journey than someone else who is my age, essentially, right? So I'm just farther along on that journey for whatever reason, right? There are myriad of reasons that you can be farther along on that journey. So many reasons you can be farther along on that journey than other folks are, right? And it's the same with basketball. It's the same with any of these sports, any of these, anything that requires coordination, which basically everything does. So some folks are going to be more anyway. Talent aside, let's not talk about talent. What I'm talking about is us as educators understanding what appropriate coordination levels are and understanding how to work with folks to find better coordination for their outcome. Now, if we are working with singers who like the tricky part of our job, here's the tricky part of our job as educators, is working with the singer who either feels that they're farther along on the journey than we know them realistically to be, or who wants to do something that is going to that isn't necessarily out of their it isn't that it's necessarily not possible for them, but that is going to be very, very challenging for them to accomplish. So, for example, Western classical singing. Someone who doesn't learn languages well, right? Who perhaps has a processing issue with language. Or dyslexia, for example, some kind of processing issue that way. If you want to be a Western classical singer and you have dyslexia or a processing issue that makes learning languages and understanding languages challenging, This doesn't mean you can't be a Western classical singer. It means that it's going to be a whole lot more work. That's what it means. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that it's going to be a whole lot more work than for someone else to do who doesn't necessarily have those processing issues, right? Someone who is not necessarily coordinated to find, I don't know, some like mix, for example, or someone who isn't necessarily like, there are lots of different kinds of coordinations that don't necessarily show up in all singers, and that's okay. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to be able to do the thing they want to do. It's just that we have to communicate to them how challenging this will be, right? So rather than saying to someone who we know is going to have a hard time accomplishing goals, especially if they have goals that are really intense, really intense goals, rather than saying to someone, oh, you're not talented enough, or you do not have, like, you're not musical enough, or what was the other one? Oh, or you're a bad singer. Rather than saying those things, we can say, hey, the levels of coordination and the levels of the level of coordination that's required to create this kind of sound, and or to create this kind of tonal outcome, and or to create this kind of career, if you're looking for a career in this, the coordination level that's required for that is something that doesn't come naturally to you, right? And that's fine. It just means that you're going to have to work hard. And you can do this, and you can work hard at this. I mean, there are some things that maybe people can't do, and you can work hard at this. But here is what it's going to take. Here's what it's likely going to take. I don't know if we want to put it in absolutes or not, but here's what it's likely going to take to be able to achieve that level of coordination. So we want to lay that out honestly, but not in a, you're not talented enough, or you're not good enough, or you don't have an ear for music. That's that's destructive. So we also don't want to be the full-on like, you're amazing and you're going to be singing at the Met next week and you're going to have like blah, blah, blah. Like, we also don't want to be that guy either, right? That's not good education either. But neither of those extremes are good education. That's not good. And yes, I am using moral imperatives. Neither of those are great ways to educate. But we far more often hear the stories, the destructive stories of folks who are, who've been told at some point in their life that they're not talented, or who've been told at some point in their life that they're not like good enough, or they're a bad singer. We far more often hear those stories than we do like the destruction of someone who has been told that they're a terrific singer their whole lives, and that they're going to make it, and they're not going to, and then, so, I mean, both ways are not useful, obviously. Either way is not useful. Yes. So we want to stay on that, like, that middle ground where we are being honest, but we're being honest about the work it takes to get there, not being honest about how bad you are at this. So what's the reason? Yes. So coddling, right? We're not coddling, and we're not telling people that they're amazing when they still have a lot of work to do, right? That's fine. We're not doing that. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I got all of the things in there. Right. Obviously, we don't want to humiliate. Yeah, and we don't want to babysit students. Of course we don't want to babysit students. And of course we don't want to, like, not give them a real education, whatever that means. Oh, thanks, Nick. Don't be distracted. It's very, very distracting. And of course we want to, but again, we want to frame this in such a way that it's not about that you're not good. We want to frame it in the sense of, because we want to frame this in the sense of there's a lot more work to be done. And the coordination that's required for this is going to take a lot of work, and that's okay. Yeah. In my experience, the folks who come into the studio and who have elevated goals beyond what I know is possible or what I feel is likely possible, especially in a short period of time. So folks who come in and, you know, they want to audition for the musical, and, you know, they're you know, they're not able to sing well in tune yet, but they want to audition for the musical like in like 2 months. So, I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but, or they want to audition in like 4 weeks. So we have like 4 lessons or 4 weeks to kind of like, to develop that coordination. In my experience, after 1, maybe 2 lessons, those folks realize, oh, right, yeah, this is actually a lot more work. Those folks, I hope, I have a feeling, but I haven't actually polled anyone, but I hope that those folks, that no one in my studio has ever left thinking, I'm not good at this, I'm not a good singer, I don't have what it takes, I'm not talented, blah, blah, blah. And having said that, let me tell you, I've worked with a lot of singers who have challenges with tuning, who have challenges with pitch matching, who have challenges with creating their desired tonal outcome throughout their range, who have challenges learning music, who have challenges, like I've worked with a lot of singers who have coordination challenges, who have processing challenges, lots and lots of singers in that way. And I think that none of them have left my studio, or who have graduated from my studio, if you will, thinking that they can't sing. I think all of them have graduated from my studio and have left, I'm just thinking of some names here, but I think overall they've all left the studio not saying like, wow, I can't sing, but I know what it takes to learn this song. I know what it takes to sing this song, and I know what it feels like to sing freely and not have to think about anything. And I understand that if I want to audition, for example, for the local musical, I understand that I need to go and get coached. I understand that that isn't necessarily something that I can come to on my own, but I need to go and get coached. Just like if I'm taking English at school and the system doesn't work so well for me, if I get a tutor to learn, I'm going to be more successful doing English or doing math or doing science or whatever. If I have a tutor, I'm going to be more successful if those subjects aren't working so well for me. So that's the goal. For me, that's the goal. Yes, honesty, but honesty about the right thing. Be honest about the right thing. Right? Educate about the right thing. It's not honest to say you're a bad singer. That's not honest. That's not true. It's just not true. And it's not honest to say, oh, you're not a talented singer. What is honest to say is that this is going to take more work for you, or this coordination, if you want to develop this specific tonal outcome, this requires a lot of different kinds of coordinations, and that's totally fine, and we'll work together. It's going to take a little bit longer than you might think. Great. Totally fine. Totally fine. Okay. That is, I'm going to try to keep, I was going to talk about another thing today too, but I think I'm going to leave it at that because that is a full like half hour there. So we probably don't need to go any further. Yes. So this has been, I did want to talk about one other thing, but I think, like I said, I think I'm going to leave that and talk about it another time. So like I said, if you're working with singers and your thought about the singer you're working with is their voice is bad, or they're not talented, or they should maybe take up, guitar, or maybe basketball, or they don't have an ear for music. That's not the thing to say. That's you gatekeeping. Yeah, that's right. Oh, there we go. I just paused over there on Instagram. Sorry about that. The thing to say in yourself is, what coordination isn't working here, isn't working as well as it could be? Where are there some things that aren't working as well? And if you don't love working with singers who, friends, there are a lot of teachers out there who love working with singers who aren't as well coordinated and who might have tuning issues, or who might have pitch matching issues, or who just might not be able, or beginning singers, or who might not be able to have, who just don't have confidence because someone told them that they were a bad singer. There are so many wonderful teachers out there who love working with those singers. So if you have a singer like that in your studio who you are thinking to yourself, oh, this is such a bad singer, they shouldn't be taking voice lessons, they're not the right student for you. You need to sort that out. They're not the right student for you. Or you're not the right teacher for them, is a better way to put it. You are not the right teacher for them. And yes, this is an issue with you. You need to send that student to someone who is going to love working with them and who is going to not tell them that they're a bad singer. Oh, for the love, please don't. Please don't couch your please don't self-righteously think that you are just being honest and just doing what's best for the singer. And I'm just doing what's best for my student by telling them that they're not good at music, or that they don't have an ear for music. Sorry, I'm just looking back at my notes. Or they're not talented, or their voice isn't good. Please don't. I'm not going to swear, because at some point, this is probably, other people are going to watch this at some point, but I'm not going to swear, but just in my mind, just in your mind, understand that I am swearing because that is so much bullshit. And that's so much more about you than it is about the singer. Please don't couch your self-righteous bullshit in I'm just being honest for the good of the student. It's fracking bullshit. Okay. You're so welcome. Go on into your lessons this week. Go into the studio this week. If you've got some folks in your studio who you are thinking to yourself about, who you have something inside of you that is saying, this isn't a good singer, or this person just doesn't have an ear for music, or this person isn't talented enough, figure it out. Figure that out. And either get that shit straight in your own head, so you're not inflicting trauma on that student, or send them to someone who will treat them the way they should be treated, who will be a good fit for them. Okay? Okay. It's fine to say, I don't love working with singers. Yes, Christy, right? It's fine to say, I don't love working with singers who can't yet match pitch. It's fine to say, I don't love working with uncoordinated singers. It's fine to say, I don't love working with beginning singers. You are allowed to say all of those things out loud. You are totally allowed to say, in fact, I encourage you to say those things out loud. You are encouraged to say, I don't love working with like 6-year-olds. Amazing. You know what I don't love? I don't love working with groups, like in group lessons. I don't love working with choirs. I don't love it. So I don't do it because I don't love it. So why would I do it? All of these, there are so many other fabulous students that I do love working with out there. So of course, that's the way I'm going to do it. If you don't love working with them, amazing. Recognize that. Say that shit out loud. Sorry, I'm a little sweary. Say that out loud. And then when you get those students in your studio, recognize, oh, hey, this isn't my ideal client. This isn't my ideal student. I am not going to do right by this student because I don't love working with them. You're not going to do right by them. It's not heroic to work with someone you don't love working with. We are independent teachers. We are independent teachers. We can work with who we want to. It's not heroic to take on the poor student that, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's not heroic. That's traumatizing and terrible and dishonest and self-righteous. Don't do it. Recognize who you love working with, and then when those students come into your studio, you can say, hey, you know what? We're not a great fit, and that's totally fine. Here's a teacher who's going to be an amazing fit for you. Yeah. Do that thing, okay? Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now. Have a terrific week. Have a terrific day. Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. See you later. Boop. Finish.